So CP's on its own growth journey, as you know.
Yeah, it's very much so.
Exactly.
Exciting times.
Very.
Exciting times.
And as we continue to grow geographically, service line, point of view, why aren't we growing into working with larger, more complex businesses? I mean, surely that's where the growth is going to come from, isn't it?
Some of the clients we work with are large, complex business, but we specialise in that mid-market. All of our, I think to be successful, you need to choose where you're going to be at your best. And for us, that is looking after mid-market businesses. We don't want the distractions of looking after large listed businesses, FTSE 100, etc. That's quite a different audit than actually is required for a mid-market business, and therefore you end up in a situation where you've got people looking after really large listed businesses and then applying that same approach to those that are in the mid-market. So that's just something we're not, we're sticking to mid-market. It's what we know best. Many firms specialise in looking after large listed. That's great. They can continue to focus on looking after those businesses. Brings a different level of regulation and therefore a different audit approach in terms of looking after those larger listed businesses, which is right. As really significant public interest entities, they need a different audit approach. So we definitely have made that decision to focus on the mid-market.
So going back to those interviews that we're having, one of the frustrations that we hear is that they say, oh, we're like a sledgehammer to crack a nut.
Yeah.
Is that because they're being audited by businesses that both audit mid-market and do the larger listed stuff?
Yeah. The two are quite a different, it's quite a different, because, some of the large listed businesses are much more sophisticated in terms of their IT systems, and therefore, it takes quite a different approach to audit £1 billion global business to an exciting, growing 50 million PE-backed business. It's quite different in terms of the risks and where the risks sit within the audit and what the approach would be. I suspect that's where it's coming from, but because we solely focus on that mid-market.
Sure. Well, why so much of the mid-market? I suppose. Do you think the market's becoming more dispersed with the auditors that they're choosing, or do you still think there's still a strong concentration of mid-market businesses that are choosing to work with the bigger firms, or is that just a legacy issue, do you think?
It's a good question, and I don't know the answer to that. We definitely continue to see clients that businesses that choose to move from Big Four to us. So, we're definitely seeing that where, they don't feel like they're properly looked after, or they feel that it's the example you gave where actually the audit process is overcomplicated compared to the size of their business. But I don't know the answer to that.
And I don't know why I asked the question either. It just came out of nowhere. Yeah. What else should we talk about in that space? What's worth? So what have we talked about in that? That's about increased regulation, mid-market focus.
And I think for me as well, in terms of the reason why we focus on mid-market is because it's what our people love. So our people are really passionate about looking after mid-market businesses. And, we've definitely had a number of people join us from other firms because they want to specialise in looking after those mid-market businesses brilliantly. And they felt that that hasn't been important when they've been in a firm that's looking after large listed businesses. They felt that actually you need to be working on those accounts rather than the mid-market accounts, which is what they really love.
Yeah.
So, we built our business around absolutely people first, and we know our people are brilliant at looking after that mid-market. So that's where we're going to continue to focus and operate.
Yeah, it was an interesting conversation, one of last Friday with a CFO, and we were just talking about Cooper Parry generally, and I asked the question of, have you heard anything about Cooper Parry that you might have any reservations about, from that perspective? And he said, I haven't had any reservations, but it's a question my board said is, why have so many people come from those bigger firms into Cooper Parry as a result? And almost saying, I'm not saying this, but alluding to, are they the best people that are coming from those firms?
Oh, how interesting.
Yeah, and I think the answer was that, and it was really clear. And I said, well, first of all, that's the first time we've been asked that question.
Never been asked that question.
But the reality is that the people that are coming to us, are very, at the absolute top of their game.
Yes.
And secondly, they're at the top of their game auditing mid-market businesses.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the difference, isn't it? It's not as if we're looking to try and attract audit partners that have massive FTSE 100 experience, global, auditing those global businesses.
That's not what we're good at.
Yeah. And I think that's where the attraction comes from.
And it's around that, again, it's that our culture is very distinctive, and actually you either, you've got to love it and live it and breathe it, because we make all decisions based on our culture and values fit. And there's plenty of people we interview where they're not actually the right fit. So we will never dilute that by bringing somebody in who absolutely, you've got to absolutely align to our values fit. So everybody that comes in from other firms, they perhaps didn't fit as well with the culture that was operating in that firm, but fit brilliantly and are really energized by the fast, it's really fast paced being part of CP, and they're really energized by that, and they like change. Whereas perhaps their previous firm wasn't offering that for them.
Okay, no, that's helpful.